Going live. What is up? There it is. You're live. What's up, everybody? Aaron Nagler here. Cheesehead TV coming to you live 4:15 Eastern on a Monday afternoon, the Monday after the NFL draft. Opinions, anger, hatred still flying through the internet, which, again, is totally understandable, but I thought I'd jump on here after this illuminating piece just dropped from the Sports Business Journal about how the NFL is set up, if needed, to shake up its schedule. We could be looking at the start of the regular season in October in one scenario. All sorts of different ways of moving around the schedule. They could have a full 17 or 16 game schedule that would feature a Super Bowl on February 28th. September training camp, anybody? Who knows what's going to happen, but it is intriguing and it's fun to think about only because it means there could actually be football. I'm really curious to see how it plays out and how the NFL pivots here. 2 weeks of early season games, quoting from this Sports Business Journal article, 2 weeks of early season games could be shifted wholesale to the end of the season. This is crazy. One version, the start of the season could be delayed up to 5 weeks with relatively few adjustments. Such a scenario would have the Super Bowl currently set for February 7th in Tampa, pushed back by 3 weeks, which is crazy. The schedule is set to be released in a few weeks, in May. There's no set date yet for the release, but you have to think the NFL, clearly, which usually releases their schedule the week leading up to the draft. Obviously, that's been pushed back because of coronavirus, because of the pandemic, everything on lockdown, etc. We'll see how states start to come on board probably here in the next month or so. I know New York is set to be the beginnings of opening up the end of May. How things progress over the summer obviously will have a lot of impact on how the NFL proceeds, but it is very interesting to see and or think about the different contingency plans they have in place. More so than anything, I just want to get to Green Bay for training camp. Just think about if we could get a full season, even after all this nonsense, that would be amazing. What's up, everybody in the comments? Good to see you all. Do we need Snacks Harrison? Daryl, I got to be honest, right before I was about to go live, when this SBJ article came out, the alternate title for this video was going to be, I just want some snacks. Look, I am cautiously optimistic about the Packers heading into 2020. I would feel a whole hell of a lot better if they signed Snacks Harrison. That is the one veteran signing, the one move they could still make that would greatly improve my feeling about this football team. Because let's be honest, they had issues stopping the run last year. And then they kind of fixed it a little bit for a stretch there towards the end of the year. And then obviously completely got exposed in the NFC Championship game. And you look at the season in its totality, and then you look at no moves being made either in free agency or the draft. I mean, specifically to reinforce and or improve the run defense. That's a whole lot of faith being put in Mike Pettine and his ability to adjust with the personnel on hand. Now, obviously, you've swapped out Blake Martinez and brought in Kirksey, etc. There are things. Maybe Warren Burks plays more. Maybe Raven Green is healthy for the entire season, and that makes a difference. But ultimately, the personnel on hand is pretty much the same. Perhaps they're counting on Kingsley Keke really coming into his own and playing a lot more snaps over Tyler Lancaster, and that makes a big difference. But for the most part, signing Snacks Harrison would go a long way in helping what ails them against the run. That's just my opinion. Mr. Englewood, thank you so much for the super chat. Is it time to go into Danica Patrick's DMs yet? No, never do that. Never. Evernight 2020, thank you for the super chat. Is this the end of the McCarthy playbook section? God, I hope so. I understand why they kept concepts around that Aaron was comfortable with from his time with Mike. But man, I hope their moves, both the offseason and especially the draft, indicates a headlong dive into LaFleur's playbook and or scheme. And I'm not saying that's a cure-all, end-all, be-all, whatever, but they really seemed to bog down when they went to the spread stuff. And, I don't think that's on Rodgers per se. They're trying to make, two different philosophies and or playbooks work at the same time. It's not exactly they had a murderer's row of wide receiver talent to work with, etc. So, yeah, I hope there's a lot more two tight end H-back stuff and a lot less, 3-4 wide spread formation stuff. Max Power, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Hey, Max, do you think one of the late round picks could reasonably start at right guard this year, even with Turner's contract, maybe moving Turner to right tackle? I mean, it's a possibility. I'd be very shocked if Turner was able to win a right tackle job over Rick Wagner. I'll tell you what, though, if Runyon or one of those other guys comes in and absolutely is lights out in camp, I would not be surprised whatsoever, especially if they move on from Lane Taylor, which I think is a legit possibility, for them to put Turner on the bench and or even cut him. Now, obviously, cutting him would be drastic. I think, given the dead cap, that would be a result. But I don't think there's any doubt that there is a chance. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion or anything, but there's a chance if one of these rookies comes in and lights it up, yeah, they could put him on the bench. I mean, it almost happened with Elton Jenkins and Lane Taylor. Now, obviously, Elton got the job eventually because Lane got hurt, but there was certainly a competition throughout camp, and I think there will be certainly a competition at right guard this camp with the rookies and Turner. No question. Oh, God. You guys, so many of you in here. Did I see the Bucs are interested in Tramon? I had not seen that, but, he could do a lot worse. The Bucs could do a lot worse. They're smart. I think Tramon's got a year or two left in him. And if they get him on a decent contract, makes sense. Obviously, I want him back in Green Bay. I love Tramon. He's my boy. He's really Corey Banke's boy. But I understand if the Packers are sold on what they have in Chandon Sullivan, Kadar Holman, etc., they got mouths to feed cap-wise, and bringing back 30, close to 40-year-old Tramon Williams probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Eric, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Nags, what's the difference in play style between Vitale and DeGuara for the fullback position? I mean, we'll find out. I haven't seen a whole lot of his tape, obviously, yet. I mean, to me, the hope, I would think, is he's a little bit more physical. As much as, Danny got lots of pub for being a muscle guy, whatever, you see him in the run game, and he is not up to snuff. And that was one of the reasons why I thought last offseason that they would move on from him. Now, obviously, he came into camp, caught everything in sight, and you understood, oh, this makes a lot of sense, especially as an H-back. But I would think they want a little bit more physicality out of that position, which may suggest why they allowed him to walk. But, I mean, who knows? We'll see how they utilize them both, him and Sternberger, as the year goes on. But I have to think that's part of the gig is they want him to be able to not only play out of the backfield, but to also come up, play in line, split out wide, do everything that they want that position to be able to do. You saw Sternberger last year play down the stretch when Vitale got hurt. He was not only an H-back, but he was a straight-up fullback at times. I think they want that versatility out of that position. Sorry, guys. People texting me. Oh, very good. Holy cow, look at all these super chats everywhere. Uncultured Barbarian, thank you so much. Hi, Nags. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Everything is great with me and the fam. In fact, that was my middle daughter texting me right now. Yeah, we're great. Yeah, it's New York. It's locked down. What are you going to do? Other than chat with you fine folks. Dylan, thank you so much for the super chat. I really wish the Packers would have taken Juan Jennings on day 3. What are your thoughts on him? Haven't seen a whole lot of him. I saw a lot of Packers fans opining for him. But as I said on the radio this morning, leading into the draft, outside of the big names in the first round, maybe into the second, I don't pay a whole lot of attention for this very reason. I don't care once they're on other teams. I care about guys who are Packers. I care about guys who wear the green and gold. We've got a whole new draft class. That's who I'm on board with. They're members of the Green Bay Packers. That's my squad. Kingsley, Kiki, Gary, Josh Jackson, and Burks, all goodie picks that he needs to actually contribute now. That is 1 billion% correct, especially given the lack of fortification and or turnover at those particular positions. Now, obviously, the headliner there is Gary because of where he was picked and the fact that he couldn't get on the field last year for a number of reasons, but he has got to play and play a lot. Burks, Jackson, they're the referendum on the 2018 draft class. Obviously, Jaire Alexander is gold. You love that pick. After that, that class is bordering on putrid. Those guys have got to get on the field. They have got to produce. And going into draft weekend, I thought there was a good chance that Josh Jackson may get dealt. That didn't happen. He's still on the squad. He has got to produce. That's a second-round pick. That's a guy in Oren Burks that you traded up for. They have got to get on the field. They have got to produce. Or 2018, that draft class, you can officially declare it a bust outside of Jaire. While I may disagree with some decisions, I still realize that I have a fraction of the knowledge and insight they have. Just going to hope I'm wrong and everyone becomes a stud. I mean, that's fine. I get that, man. I get it. And look, it's not a bulletproof vest, right, to say, well, they know so much more than we do. Yeah, they have a lot more information than we do. There's no doubt about it. But I understand I am very optimistic when it comes to the Packers, but I totally understand disagreeing with them, really hating what they did as a fan. Like, I get it. It's just not how I operate. But I do not begrudge anyone. I totally understand why people come from that position. Missed a few super chats here. I am sick of ESPN horseshit. I am sticking with Cheesehead TV. Timothy, we thank you for that. Nathan, thank you for the super chat. Offensive line, running back, H-back, big boy football at 1265 now. Nathan, it would certainly seem to be trending in that direction. We'll see how much of that is a indication of this is a change in direction, and how much of that is just we still want to keep doing what we're doing. We want to be multiple. We want to be able to work in all facets of the game, but we felt these were areas that we needed kind of reinforcements. I mean, I tend to think with reports that they were trying to trade up in the second round to target a wide receiver. They just couldn't get a deal to work. Then to turn around and say, okay, well, they took A.J. Dillon, who apparently was the right value on their board. That would suggest to me that there wasn't a concerted effort and or plan to change the style, to change the offensive direction. It's just how the board fell, and this made sense given where their value was, which I still am surprised that it was a running back in the second, but they must love that player. And it also sticks, it's in keeping with their, I won't say tradition, but their tendency to draft a year out. You got Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. They're a year out. They're in their contract years. Now here comes A.J. Dillon to guard against whether either one of those guys ends up leaving after their contract is up. Heard the A.J. drill, and I love it. Can you get love on Nagler's Never Right? Tim, I reached out to Athletes First, and that is in motion, hopefully. We'll see. Frank, thank you for the super chat. How enthusiastic are you for this class versus other years? I'm always enthusiastic, man. That I used to really nitpick and really get into the weeds about draft scouting reports and things like that, and what I would have done, and this is a mistake, and blah, blah, blah. But you do it for so long, and then you realize so often that guys rise up and become players that you never would have expected. And there are guys you thought were surefire hits that absolutely fizzle and do nothing. That eventually, about 4 or 5 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, somewhere around that time, other than the stuff I was doing for work, like if I was at the Green Bay Press Gazette or if I was Sports Illustrated, whatever, man, I did the job. But as far as getting pumped for a draft class, that hasn't happened in a long time. Real DK, thank you so much for the super chat. Dylan's highlights remind me of my favorite Lacy runs. He has a little bit of Eddie Lacy in him. The Eddie Lacy that was really productive and fun to watch. Hopefully we get a bunch of that at Lambeau this year. Nathan, thanks so much for the super chat. Thought we overdrafted day 2 like day 3. Drafting Love does 3 things. Lights a fire under Rodgers, empowers LaFleur, and gives us a shot at another quarterback. Another quarterback? Oh, you mean Love if he ends up being the heir apparent. Yeah, I see that. I understand the overdrafting on day 2. I'm totally in agreement when it comes to the back. When it comes to the H-back, who knows? He could end up being the next Kelsey. We'll see. But as far as A.J. Dillon goes, he could be 2 things. He could be a bit of an overdraft, as you state, kind of Brandon Jackson-esque, although they did win a Super Bowl with Brandon Jackson. Or he could be Eddie Lacy in his prime, which would be outstanding. So we'll see. Post-draft transplants. Tim, thanks for the super chat. Yes, we will have a post-draft transplants. We don't have a date yet. LiveX is insanely busy at the moment. That's why there is no trivia this week. But we will have, Corey and I will endeavor to put together a Packer transplant. Speaking of busy, I'm going to have to jump because I've got a LiveX meeting. And then I have our Patreon happy hour. If you are a Patreon member, please head over to the Patreon page. I've got a post up with some information for our Zoom call at 6 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out. I'm going to drink. I'm going to talk some Packers with our Patreon supporters. If you aren't a Patreon, totally cool, totally get it. But if you want to support Cheesehead TV, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.